Hi guys, this is George back here with another video and welcome to the 16th episode here working in Enchanted Land in Planet's Coaster. This is not only the 16th episode, this is the penultimate episode of this series. So of course I've been building this vintage park throughout 2023 and there are going to be 17 episodes, 15 or well 16 now you're watching this one. And then there's going to be one more, which is going to be operating this park. So by the end of this episode, you're going to see the park nearly complete. There are a few more tweaks that I'm going to make off camera, a few more little details to put in, and then it's going to be ready to open the park to the public in the next episode. And you can see here that I'm just working out how I want the path to be. I'm trying a few different shapes. I wanted a bit of a plaza over here. There's going to be a couple of flat rides, and there's also going to be one final roller coaster getting built here, which is going to be the biggest roller coaster in the park. You've seen it in the thumbnail, and it is an Arrow hyper coaster, and you're going to be seeing that getting built shortly. But you can see one of the two flat rides going in there. So we've got a vintage Sizzler going in there, as you can see, and then we've also got one of these other rides coming in, like the soaring. It basically, I've never been on one of these before, but I've seen one. I think you I think you pull a lever and you catch the gust of wind, and then it swings you out or something. So yeah, I wanted one of those in this park. Here we go. You can see some other kind of arcade machines are going to go in here. We've got a gumball machine going in here. There are a few different buildings that are going to go in this episode. You're going to see a lot happen in this episode. It's a long episode. It's half an hour long. It's the longest episode in this series, I believe. So yeah, a lot happens in this video. So there we go. You can see that's just going. There we go. I'm just moving them a bit further back there so I can add an arch in. And then shortly you're going to see some more details to the building. Yeah, it's crazy to think that this series is coming to an end. Of course, I would have carried it on for a bit longer because there are still rides that I wanted to build and that I wanted to put in, but there's two problems. One is the park's starting to lag. The game's starting to lag a lot. It's not been particularly fun building with the lag. However, I did want to make sure I put in all the rides that I really wanted to put in, and then I did plan to put some more rides in. However, the lagginess has prevented me from doing that. And as well as that, another problem is the amount of space. I've pretty much run out of space in this park. There is not very much space left. I could have built another ride in the space next to the Arrow Hypercoaster, which is where you're going to see a massive lake goes in. I could have built more rides there, however, that leads me back to the lag problem and how it's getting too laggy to carry on building in this park. And when it's open as well, like I'm, I'm, it's going to be difficult in the next episode. When there's people in the park, that's going to make it lag even more. So I'm interested to see what it's going to be like in the next episode when we've actually got guests in the park. There we go. You can see that building's done now, and now you're going to see some ATMs coming in. So we've got a whole row of them that are going to be going in here, and another building. So you can see that I'm just putting some arches in there. Yeah, I wanted this to be a bit of a different style building, and you'll see I do paint it up a bit later. And I add those. I can't remember if oh yeah, I did. I thought I went back later and added the turrets at the back, but no. There we go. You're going to see this getting repainted because it's a bit ugly at the moment. It's going to be a lot more bright. There we go. Just trying to find which roof to put in now. So this was the next problem. So the type of wood I used the arches to build out of, you can change the color of them, but with these bits you can't. So I ended up making a few tweaks to this building, which you'll see. There we go. So half of them are red, as you can see, and then we've also got the other ones that are blue. And there we go. The turrets are going to be white, and then you're going to see that I try and paint the roof tiles, and you can't change the color of them. So I had to end up putting a different one in, and then I also end up changing the back of the building as well, because as you can see at the moment, it's open arch walls I do change that so it is a proper solid wall. There we go. You can see there, realizing I can't change the color of those, so there they go. Now I'm finding something else to replace it with. There we go, you can see those going in. And then in go the ATMs, and you're about to see me change the back walls because I decide actually I don't like the look of that. There you go, that's happening now, just removing all of them. There we go, just finding the right pieces to go in. There we go, I'm trying to find the same ones that I used for the roof tiles, and there they are. There we go, that building is pretty much done now. So here we go, we've got some landscaping going in now, and shortly I'm going to be making a start on the Arrow Hypercoaster. So this is very much inspired by the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach and also Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Both of those coasters I've ridden, and neither of them are my favourite coasters. However, they are both very iconic. Of course, Magnum XL 200 was the first full circuit hypercoaster, the first full circuit coaster over 200 feet. And then the big one was once the world's tallest roller coaster. So yeah, they are both very iconic rides, and I did want one of those in this park because they're amazing on the skyline. Both of those coasters look amazing on the skyline, and by the time this one's done, it looks really good on the skyline of this park as well. It takes up quite a lot of it, a large amount of this kind of left side of the park. So you can see it's kind of going towards the fence at the moment, and then it's going to turn round and it's going to go right over past the log flume towards the scenic railway. An out and back layout, this one, with lots of different airtime hills. There we go, you can see here I actually had to do quite a lot of work in terms of the placement of this ride. So I wanted you to be able to see the lift hill as you walk up to it, but then after that turnaround, it gets too close to the log flume. So I ended up having to move it a bit closer to the side. There we go, you can see me moving that now. It was also going a bit slow over that top section as well, so I ended up having to make that a bit smaller. Yeah, overall, this actually took quite a while to get exactly how I wanted it to be. There we go, just speeding up the lift hill as well because, oh my gosh, when you put these coasters in the lift hill, and it's the same with the big one and Magnum XL 200, the lift hills on those coasters are so unbelievably slow. However, I didn't want it to be a really fast lift hill because I wanted it to keep the realism, but I did want it to be a bit faster than what it was because it took ages to get to the top. There we go, you can see that massive airtime hill going right past the log flume. I do actually end up changing the layout of the log flume a little bit later because you may have seen that one of the supports got removed to be able to fit this in. So I end up moving the log flume a little bit so there's not a section that hasn't got a support for too long. And there's one that you fly really close to as well. You can see the train going past it now. When I looked at a POV of this, you get very close to that support, and in real life, that would definitely not be a thing. So I want to stay as realistic as possible with this. So therefore, I did change it to make sure you don't get too close to the supports, but there's also not too much of a kind of section where there's not a support. There we go. You can see more airtime hills going in here. It's all about the airtime this ride. Hopefully it has more airtime than the big one because as much as the big one has airtime hills, you don't really get lifted out of your seat very much. Magnum XL 200 you do get some airtime, but it's not one of my favourite roller coasters. I find it very overhyped. There we go, you can see just making sure it goes through all those elements at the right speed. Here we go. So this is the point now where I was getting a bit close to the edge of the park, the boundary. So I ended up having to do a little bit of tweaking here. So you can see I'm putting some banking in there. And then it's going to go straight back round as it heads back towards the station. We have got some mid-course on here. Well, I say it's a mid-course. You're about to see it go in. I didn't put any brakes on it because I didn't want it to be going too slow around the final parts of the ride. So there are no brakes on that. I was worried it wouldn't make it back to the station if there were brakes. So I didn't add any in. Here we go. You can see a helix going in there. And then you're also going to see a splashdown go in later as well. So you've got to imagine with this that the splashdown would have probably been added later. In terms of the coaster, this would have probably opened around the 1990s. The big one opened in 1994, and then Magnum was, I believe, 1989. So this is definitely one of the more modern coasters at the park, if not the most modern. And there we go, you can see the brakes going in now. I do actually make some changes to this final section of the ride later because I wanted to make sure that after one of the airtime hills, you get a bit closer to the lake for the splashdown so you can actually see the water effects. So you'll see that there are a few tweaks that come to that later. Here we go, just trying to line that up now. There we go, you can see that, a bit of a twisted airtime hill going in there. And you can see the full layout for this. So yeah, it does pretty much go from the back of the park right over to the front of the park. But yeah, I'm really happy with the layout of this coaster. I think it looks really good. There we go, you can see it going through its helix there. Just making sure it'll make it round to the end. And no problems there. Here we go, so time to go and smooth it now. There we go. Yeah, of course, we've got a bit of an S-bend going on in this turnaround. So making sure that's nice and smooth. There we go, that bit definitely looked a bit dodgy there. So yeah, that needed some smoothing. There we go, going around the helix now. So yeah, this section does get changed up a bit later because I feel like it was a bit too high up for the splashdown and you wouldn't have actually seen the water effects on the ride. There we go, there's the full layout. Of course, we've got two trains going on there. You can see the queue and exit going in there. There we go, there's that connected up. And then there's the exit. So 3 rides going in this episode. Yeah, there's a lot happening in this episode. There we go, we've got all the trees going in there as well. Just landscaping the area, making sure it looks nice. There we go, you can see just connecting the trees up with all the ones going around the Schwarzkopf Looper there. And of course, just connecting this section up as well. I don't want there to be too many gaps from the pathways from where you can see just empty areas. There's very few empty spaces in this park. Pretty much anywhere where there wasn't a ride, I have put trees. However, you can see there's a big amount of space there between these trees, the log flume and the hypercoaster. That's all going to be a lake later on. So that is an area where I could have built more rides. However, the lagging is a problem. I am wanting to move on to a new project now. I am happy with the state that the park's in. I do think that it is quite complete, and yeah, there's a few more things I would have liked to have added, but it's not too big of a deal. I've put in everything that I really wanted to put in. Here we go. We've got some rocks going in just here, and we're going to be having some flowers going in here as well. There we go. Just adding lots of different colours around the area. Here we go. More landscaping going in. So yeah, the next park on Planet Coaster will be starting in 2024 at some point. Not too sure when yet. However, yeah, we have had the last few weeks. I've tried to upload these videos every couple weeks. However, at the moment we've got them going up every week because I want to be able to finish this series before the start of 2024. I want to end this series at the end of 2023, and then at some point in 2024 I can start my next project, which is going to be a big project as well. I'm really looking forward to building it. There we go. So now you're going to see some work going in for the station. There we go. I was just looking at all these different panels here. I've never used those before, so maybe in the future I'll have to use those for when I'm building a massive show building. There we go. So you can see I'm using those tile walls again and just changing the colour of them there. We've got all arches in there as well. Yeah, I wanted it to be a bit more open, this station, rather than just a big blue box or a big blue box with no windows. There we go, changing the colour of the roof as well. So yeah, we've got a few different colours going in on this building. And then we've got some details here as well. Yeah, I just like the look of these. I saw these when I was scrolling through and I thought, I like them. I've never used these before. Why not use them here? So that's what I did. There we go. I didn't really know what to do here because there weren't any pieces that connected together, so I ended up not putting them in. But you can see that we do have a few more, well, a couple more kind of turrets going in on the top. There we go, just connecting those pieces together as well. Yeah, I wanted to see if there was anything I could do that side, however, there wasn't any more of those pieces that would fit in a kind of one space area. There we go, we've got some more details going on here. Got some wall trims. There we go, just making sure they're lined up as well. There was a problem with one of these, so I ended up restarting it. As you can see, they're all going there. There we go, just restarting. There we go. Just making sure it's lined up. And there we go. And here we go. You're going to see some lighting coming now. So all the lights are going up, and then shortly I'll be turning it to night. So yeah, there's loads of different lights on this station. Well, I say they're all the same lights, but in different places. You've got the ones up there, and then you've got ones going down all the columns as well. Once again, making sure they're all lined up and equal. Wanted to make sure you haven't got two yellow lights next to each other there, so I flipped them round, and then I noticed that there's two red ones together there, so that was annoying me. So then I had to find some way of keeping it symmetrical. So I thought, well, how about I do it so the first one it's the same color, then it's not, or it's not the same color, then it's the same color. So you can see here, just rotating that around now, so you can see it goes in a bit of a pattern. So you've got the two reds on either side, and then it goes yellow, red, yellow. So yeah, I've tried to keep it as symmetrical as possible. I've just realised as well something that I never did off camera. I never moved the entrance and exit gates, so at the moment you have to walk through that column, so I'll have to move them off camera. I don't know how I didn't notice that while I was building this. I've only just noticed it now. There we go, some more lighting going in up there. Just lighting the roof of the station up. And back today, and here we go. You can now see the start of what's going to be an absolutely massive lake. I was debating putting a lake show on over here. However, then I decided, because I wanted to put a fountain show on here, and then I decided, you know what, it's going to be so difficult trying to build a path in to this area without kind of messing with what's already in the area, because I'd have to try and build the path around the log flume and around the flat rides and all the trees. So I thought it'll be easier if I just make it a big lake and there's no fountain show, although I did really want one. And if I could have made a path into this area without it looking too messy, then I would have done that. But I do put a splashdown in for the coaster, and you will get to see that from in the queue line of this ride. So this lake actually took quite a while to build. For some reason, if you guys have played Planet Coaster, then you'll know that it takes a long time to kind of dig the terrain away. It digs away quite slowly. And this is, of course, a massive plot of land, and most of this coaster is over the water. So it did take a while to do this, and you won't see the whole thing of this sped up. Yeah, I must have spent about 20-25 minutes building this lake. So yeah, pretty much all of this coaster is over the lake. So you can see the water's going to stretch all the way over to where the queue is, and then it goes all around the turnaround over on the other side, and it stops there. So the majority of this ride is over the water. I looked at the stats for this as well after I was done filming this, and it's got over 5,000 feet of track. So it's a long ride, this. There we go. So you can see I'm just making the basic shape, or just connecting that bit up. Literally all of this grass here that doesn't have trees on it is going to be this part of this lake. But yeah, I'm just doing it one stage at a time, really. So you can see I'm working on this section here now. And at some point, when I don't think it happened on camera, but when I was really close to finishing the lake, then I ended up, I think, building the terrain up to, I didn't dig it down far enough, so it removed all of the water, and I was pretty much done building the entire thing. So I had to go around and change that again and put the water back in. Yeah, I don't think that happened on camera. There we go, you can see that section's nearly done now. And there we go. So yeah, you can see there's still a lot of work to do. So yeah, the turnaround just over there by the scenic railway, that's where this lake ends. It stretches all the way over there. And it's soon you're going to see another cut in the video and the lake's going to be pretty much done. There we go. So yeah, this is the last little bit of the lake now, and then I'm going to zoom out and you're going to see it's fully completed. There we go. So all of that section is now over the water, as you can see. And I believe this is where I start working on the splashdown. And this actually ended up taking a while as well because I was trying to find which fountains to use. I was going to use those ones, but then they go really high. So I tried to kind of bury them under the ground so they didn't go up as high. But then I realized it would be difficult to kind of get back to them. If I needed to move them or anything, then I wouldn't be able to get them again. So then I decided that the track was too high up above the lake, so I was going to build it closer to the water. So you'll see that shortly. There we go, so you can see my first plan there. I wanted to put it under the ground so I could see how high it would go then. However, then it wouldn't go because it was triggered up. So there you go, you can see me removing all of those. Then removing those effects. So yeah, I spent a while looking through all of the different water effects, deciding which one to use. Got some of the flames there. Yeah, I wasn't planning on using that. However, I did want to see what they look like for if I wanted to use them in the future. There we go. There's so many different water effects in Planet Coaster, but for some reason there's none. Well, I guess there's none that make an ideal splashdown when you're this high above the track or above the lake even. So yeah, you'll see some changes in a minute. There we go. You can see that section getting removed. It's now going to get much closer to the water. There we go. And then it's going to connect up there. Just smoothing it out there. So yeah, the ending of the ride isn't quite as exciting anymore because you would have probably got one more pop of airtime going over that twisted airtime hill. However, it's not really an airtime hill anymore. I might go back off camera and rework that. And in the next episode, I'll be showing a POV of this as well as the bobsleigh, the wooden bobsleigh, the Schwarzkopf Looper, and the 2 racing coasters. So yeah, loads of POVs coming in the next episode. And of course, when I built the wooden coasters, something went wrong with the file, and I wasn't even able to get the recording for that, so I wasn't able to share the building process of the racing coasters. There we go, you can see just putting them under the water there so you can't see them. You're only going to see the fountains when you go past that track trigger. And here comes the train. And that is now coming up to the end of this episode here. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at George Kelly and follow me on Twitter at George Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.